Okay, so this is where we left off in the classroom. So now I'm gonna talk about learning, and we're gonna continue this PowerPoint. So basically, learning is a modification of behavior based on specific experience. Like I said in the classroom, there's kind of like a 5 general things that we'll be talking about here, and then we'll just be talking about them. Next, computer. Here you go. Let me show you everything. Okay, habituation. This is talking about losing a responsiveness. Okay, so it's kind of like you some kind of repeat exposure. Eventually, you kind of just doesn't do certain behaviors anymore. Okay, so let's say if you go, I don't know, let's say if you love to eat ketchup, you start eating ketchup, eating ketchup, eating ketchup, and eventually you kind of just like, I'm tired of ketchup. That's kind of like habituation. So you like do something over and over again, and eventually you don't do that thing anymore. Uh, Imprinting is probably something that's we mostly familiar. Okay, ducks, birds in general would recognize their mother or father right after they come out of the shell. So they kind of would follow that person, whoever, and they would just kind of learn everything that person or that animal does. So if it actually sees a person, then it will just follow what that person does. So it's kind of like what this is. Okay, the person on the right, he basically became the father or mother, well, in this case, father, and then saw all these birds following after him because they assume that that's that's the father and mother figure. So everything that person does, they will do, including if that person can fly, they will fly as well. If that person will travel to a certain place, they will travel with that person. Okay, so we kind of this is kind of like um, a slide that kind of divided up to kind of tell you which is the proximate cause and what will be the ultimate cause in this case. So like it says, during the early stage, these little geese will observe their mother to move away. Okay, that's kind of like that's how they do it because it's right next to them. This is kind of like what they do. Okay, but overall, they will basically use imprinting learning skill to kind of like allow the little babies to learn more essential stuff. Okay, so with essential stuff, with essential skills, they will be, like I said earlier in the classroom, the ultimate, Frankie, shh, the ultimate goal will be survival and stop it. The ultimate goal will be survival, okay, and reproduction. So basically, that's the ultimate cause for this case. Okay, imprinting. This is another case that you guys read a little bit in your book. Well, you will read in your book. Okay, so basically, the person was imprinted, so this person has to teach the migration route to these cranes. Okay, special learning. Special learning, it's kind of like you using a specific environment to kind of like understand, help you to learn certain things. That's uses small examples. Let's say if you go to I don't know, a certain library to study every single day, and then on the way that you walk there, you always see, the 7-Eleven on the right hand side, or the In-N-Out on the left hand side, and then etc. 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 When you are, let's say, when you're reviewing for your stuff, you will be more, Frankie, calm down. So basically, what happened is when you're walking there, you will have this spatial kind of image in your head. And then let's say if you walk through another place that is gonna have the same layout, the 7-Eleven on the right and on the left, etc., etc., then you will have some kind of memory kind of trigger related to that location. You will be probably thinking about, oh my gosh, that is the library. Oh, I must be very close to some library. Okay, this is more related to almost kind of like memory. You kind of learn based on the environment around you. Also, another thing is, let's say if you learn chapter 51 in the biology room. Okay, so let's say if you go to the library and you're kind of just like blanking out and it's like, oh my gosh, I don't remember this. But then eventually, let's say, oh, let's go back to the biology room and take the test because somebody needs to use the library. So we went back to the biology room, and then with that environment, you kind of like look at the board. Oh my gosh, Mrs. Xu was talking about this concept on the right hand side of the board. So that environment kind of help you foster the memory. So another example that they use, it's if they follow all those acorns to find their nest, they wouldn't be able to find their nest again if you move the acorn, because they think that is the environment that their nest is at. So like I said earlier, 7-Eleven, In and Out, those are kind of like landmark, the environmental clue. Okay, associative learning. This in class, it was what I was talking about. Sorry, I didn't say it right. Associative learning is kind of like how we train a lot of animals to behave, including the dolphin example that I gave in class. Associative learning has two different specific kind. We have classical conditioning. That's kind of like how we train our dog. That's sorry, my dog earlier was barking. Well, because he was trained to bark at any stranger. Okay, so basically that's what he does. Every single time he hears something or see a stranger, he will start barking because that's what they do. But we also train him to chase at his little raccoon toy because we shake it and then he comes over and then we feed him. Okay, so that's kind of like classical conditioning. Another type of associative learning, it's operative conditioning. So this one is kind of like you try everything and you see how it's gonna turn out. Okay, you either get a reward or you either get a punishment. Okay, so this one, as you can see on the bottom, so if the mouse will push certain part of lever, or if it push when the light's on, then the mouse will get a treat. Okay, from here. So over time, the mouse kind of understand, oh my gosh, if I push this button only when the light is on, then I will be able to get a treat. However, if I push a button when the red light is on, then I won't get anything. Okay, on the right hand side, the same thing. I think this little cute wolf was trying to eat another animal, but then it has been proven to him or her, it, that the animal is quite dangerous and need to be carefully handled in this case. So you either get a reward or punishment, but that would help you to foster certain behavior. Cognitive, this is kind of like what we do when you have a slightly higher level of ability as far as your brain function goes. So basically, you can observe something, you can store the information, and you can process the information. Okay, just by your sensory. Okay, so you either see, hear, or taste something, and then from those, your brain will process it and allow you to respond accordingly. For example, you guys are in class for so many years now. So if a teacher, well, for example, me, give you a packet of PowerPoint slide with a lot of missing words, then you guys probably think, okay, with the information that's given to me, I will probably need to listen to the teacher in class talking about this, and more than likely there's going to be some kind of PowerPoint that allow me to fill in the missing part. So basically that's what you will be able to do with cognition learning. Okay, social learning. Social learning, it's something that animal has done for thousands of years. The example right here is the monkeys have learned that when there's a threat, they will call out, and because one of them or a few of them will do that, it kind of teaches the rest of them to call out alarm, to kind of like, oh my gosh, there is an enemy coming towards us, we better run. And they will do that to kind of make sure the survival of the entire species and as well as the survival of the individual animals. So that's kind of like social learning. Also, you guys will do the same thing. For example, you guys have learned to, follow other people's action sometimes. So let's say if somebody comes in the classroom and grabs a handout that's on my desk and then go sit down, and then the next person comes in and sees there's handout on that person's desk, that person, that new student will probably come to my desk and ask for a handout, and so on and so forth. So as the new student coming into the classroom sees there's handout, you probably follow the previous student and then gather a handout from my desk just to make sure that that's what everybody is doing to kind of fit in almost. Okay, now we're talking about food obtaining behavior. Okay, foraging, it's kind of it's actually hunter and gatherer. We kind of have this in us, and this is in many of the different animals. So this is kind of allow animals to survive without the least amount of energy spent. Okay, so like right here, optimal foraging model. So it helps them to conserve energy while taking a lot more. So you kind of have this model of, okay, I need to eat food to survive. In order for me to survive, I need food, but I also need to spend a certain amount of energy to acquire those food. So you kind of develop this pattern of trying to minimize your energy spending, but maximize how much food you will find. So right here, it's a chart kind of just compare how 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 much, let me say, the number of drops for a bird. So vertically, number of drops, and using the numbers of drops and compare it to the total flight height. Okay, so if it flies really high and has dropped a lot of times, then it uses a lot of energy to kind of climb back. Imagine you kind of climbing the stair. Okay, if I am asking you in a PE class to tell you to climb the stair all the way to the second floor and then come back, and second floor and come back, it takes a lot of energy to do that. So the optimal for this animal is to just climb a few steps, almost equivalent, and then come down to grab something, and then climb a few steps, come down to grab something. So that is kind of their optimum levels of dropping and energy spending while taking a lot of food for its energy sake as well. Okay, courtship and mating behavior. Okay, so like I said earlier, a lot of animal has their ultimate cause as reproduction and survival. So sexual selection actually plays a huge part. And right here, it's just a table kind of telling you there's different kind of structure of sexual selection and courtship and mating behavior right here. So you could have multiple partners, which becomes a promiscuous relationship, and you can also have one partner, which would be monogamous, and you can have one male, multiple female, one female, multiple male. Okay, so these are breaking down for you. This one is it makes either one of the animal very showy, okay, or all of the animal becomes showy because they need to attract other species that's the same type, and they need to mate as much as possible. And this one, because there's only one partner, so they will actually be very similar. Okay, it's actually, it's almost like a bounding for life, and then they'll just kind of, they want to find similar trait. Okay, And then this one would be because there's one male, it needs to mate